What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we are giving you a state of the market and stock picks for February 24th, 2022. Now, things are getting very serious with the Russia-Ukraine thing. Ukraine actually reported today that they've been hacked this morning, which essentially took the market tumbling down. And now there is more information coming out that Russia is actually attacking Ukraine. It's hard to determine if these reports are true. There's been a lot of misinformation about any actual attacks, but they are in a state of emergency. There is a lot going on over there. What is true and what is not really all depends. The market right now is currently in shambles, and it just broke a major support. Being said, we've essentially come into the past 2 weeks only worried about the Fed and the rate raises. Now we got a bigger catalyst, and this is something I talk about all the time. You have to be nimble. You have to be mindful because these things can come out and start essentially growing claws and fangs and becoming to be bigger catalysts than was once determined, and it can grow very rapidly. But the market wanted to hold very much this key level today, essentially this 42.85 mark today, and it held pretty well. To be honest, we came in today and we actually, a lot of bigger tech started pushing this morning, which looked like we were going to start reversing and pushing back up. Then we got the hacking news very soon after the market opened, and that just sent us in a tumble. And then we pretty much held almost all day this current level. The market really wanted to hold. It was a big struggle. Then I know more members were talking about what was going on in Russia. More Fed members were talking about what was going on in Russia and the Ukraine situation and how it was getting escalated. And then again, China coming out talking about that they didn't like what the U.S. was doing, which could be very concerning because if China starts to come into the situation, it could really get bad, especially in the chip sector, and that essentially will hit every tech sector, essentially gut blowing every tech sector heavier than it already is. So we are getting into an interesting time, and that even brings up the situation and rumors that I'm hearing that this could possibly lead to pushback on cutting bond buying and also pushback on rate raises if we do go to war, which could ultimately be very positive for the market, but you're going to get an initial tumble because of it. Now, this is something I said. I said that the market really won't get too much affected by war. Yes, the initial impact of it will affect it, but upon that, normally economies grow very well during war. And being said, going forward, if we start getting more continued bond buying and continued pushing rate raises down the road because of what's currently going on, that's going to be more of a positive. So we have to keep that in mind. But we have to see, right? There's no knowing for sure. There's no telling what can come up. Again, things grow fangs and claws, and they make things out way worse than they originally advertised. So that is something to keep in mind. This is why I say you have to be agile and nimble. All the information you get will change on a dime. We're currently in a market where news is guiding the market. So we go through periods, go through cycles where technicals outweigh the news. And then you go into other cycles where fundamentals and the news events are driving the market. Technicals are not playing out because it is news driven. And this is why it's good to know both technicals and to know fundamentals, because when you get in environments like this, again, fundamentals will drive the market way more than any technical could tell you. And again, we've been seeing that for the past couple months. Again, technicals just are not working. Everything is breaking down on breakouts. And so It is purely all news driven at this point. Even though supply and demand zones typically hold when they do, but as far as any other patterns you were looking for, they do not play out. It's purely supply and demand and news events at this point. So getting at the SPX, we are currently sitting at critical level. We are coming down. We still haven't tapped that 422. We're currently sitting on it right now. We definitely want to see how this plays out tomorrow. But I'm actually kind of expecting this thing to pop back up and give a strong retest of this 43.22 mark, possibly even up here, the 43.95 mark is really kind of what I'm looking at. It's actually perfectly set up to look for a perfect short. That would be a perfect short setup if we can hit that 4,400 mark, if we can get a retest that 4,400 mark. But we have to understand that the market's already sold off pretty hard. This has been a really hard level, really solid level to this point. Essentially, this 42.65 mark has been a solid support, and we finally broke that with full body candles below that. It'd be interesting to see where we open up tomorrow. Normally on a play like this, what you want to be looking for is this 20 EMA on the hourly. It's a good rejection point. Again, we have all the support here. We got a first rejection off of it this morning, but it wasn't really a true rejection. You're going to get a bigger rejection, a bigger retest on this in the next coming days, whether that's tomorrow or Friday. It'll come back either to this 20 or higher, back up to the weekly support. If we do test this 50 weekly, you can expect there's going to be a hard rejection off this. That is pretty much what I'm waiting for on this setup. If we trade flat overnight, I think we get a nice pop into tomorrow. But I would be more obviously biased to the bearish side. I think tomorrow will be a bigger continuation of what we've seen on this sell-off. So be prepared for that. And then the continuation sell, I think ultimately we could possibly hit that 4,100 mark. Again, you got monthly support there. We haven't hit monthly support in a while. Even if you go back, if we pull up the monthly here, it has been since almost March of 2020. So since the pandemic was really the only time we've come and retested that 20. This will be the first time we hit it in that long, a year and a half. So keep that in mind. We hit this, we're going to get a big bounce. And this is something I've been talking about. We were looking for a bit of a rally. I think this might give us a bit of a rally. But you have to understand with the current situation that's going on, are we going to continue going back up? Which I'm very much a perma bull here. So I won't lie. I think we could possibly break up from that point. I don't really think this whatever this war is, again, it really depends on how crazy it gets. Again, if China gets involved, it could add a whole new element, especially because you really start affecting supply and demand when you start involving China. So that is something to be mindful of and could be a major issue in the markets. Again, short term, ultimately, I think it would be more positive for the market. Not so much the economy in general. The economy will be in shambles. We understand the stock market will see it as a very bullish move. In my opinion, again, the market becomes numb to things and then it starts going in the opposite direction. So you have to keep that in mind. So that's the key levels I'm really looking at tomorrow. I think it's set up for a short. I think we'll have more of a red day tomorrow. Where that stops, we'll have to find out tomorrow, and then we'll know more come Thursday close. But tomorrow, I think, is going to be a bigger move to the downside. And then Bitcoin in itself, it's still holding at 36. It's been selling off pretty heavy. Again, that 32 mark is really the make or break for Bitcoin. Again, you're adding new elements in here. So if this does not hold, we could be going into a bearish winter on crypto because of the current situation. Ultimately, if we can still hold, I'm thinking that 30K mark might be the new base. This will ultimately be the test to determine if that's the new base or not. We were trying to attempt to go back out again, with Russia and everything. Kind of perfect setup, and caused us to sell back off. Again, technicals have not been playing out. Technical wise, we were set up perfectly to start making a new all-time high. But events, you have to realize that events do play a major part in the stock markets. They change things on a dime. So you have to take it day by day and proceed forward. But again, Bitcoin is getting hit big or crypto in general is getting hit big by the current situation and the unknown. But really going into tomorrow, as far as stock picks, again, you have to really look at the ones. I'm not really looking much to the call side. I said tomorrow will be more of a sell day. So we kind of look at what could potentially even sell further, and Tesla being one of them. Now, it had a big break on the 200 here. It did break and retest yesterday. We had a huge sell-off. We got support here at the 760 mark, and then that monthly support sitting around that 717 mark, which again I think is setting us up for a big pump up from that point. Will it break the trend? If it breaks the trend, if Tesla breaks the trend, if SPY breaks the trend, we could get a little bit of that rally, which I think is very much possible. We hit that major support. Again, we haven't touched that support in such a long time. I think we should get a nice little rally out of that, kind of leading us into the FOMC meeting. So possibly even looking at next week that we could hit that support and get a bounce. Again, if we don't bounce well off that, that could be really concerning. But we have to take that day by day and see how that goes. So again, Tesla tomorrow, I'm really looking at key levels. Again, we just broke this, essentially that 800 mark. We got this 20 EMA. So as soon as it starts getting close to that 790 mark, I can almost expect Tesla will probably get rejected hard off of that. Since the first retest after this massive sell-off. Again, if we find ourselves sitting at the 720 mark tomorrow, we should get a nice rally. Unless there's something completely wrong going on with the markets, we should get a nice rally up to that test. Once we hit that test, I think there's more to the downside at this point until the market determines what the new base will be. Again, we broke that base today. We will get a retest of it tomorrow or Friday, and then it's going to get rejected extremely hard off that base. So Tesla is one of them. Google is another one. Google's got a stronger base here at that 2,500 mark. We really want to watch out for that. If we do break that, there could be a lot more downside for Google. Google doesn't typically break that low. Then you're starting to look at the 2453 mark, strong possibility. And then you get some other lower levels at the 2364 mark going in with Google. But Google, again, another big one, is done very well. But ultimately, when the market starts to sell, Google will sell. Again, chips will be a huge one too, especially if China gets involved. Chips are really going to get devastated bad here. Key level to watch is the 233 mark tomorrow. I think that NVIDIA is going to retest that. That's going to allow the 50 and the 20 on the daily to come down and essentially get that death cross on NVIDIA, which I think, again, is a very strong possibility. We want to watch out for that. Again, if it does break that and come underneath the 50 EMA here, you're going to get a little bit of support here. But I think, again, if China is going to come in, these supports really aren't going to matter. We might sell all the way back down to the monthly on NVIDIA as well. So you're looking at the 188 mark. strong possibility. Again, you have support here too, but I think if China gets involved, this thing is really going to start getting some gas to the downside. There's some couple other chips like LRCX and ASML. They actually hold a lot better than AMD and Qualcomm. And Qualcomm hold well. AMD and NVIDIA do not hold very well. When the market sells off, AMD and NVIDIA are the first ones to start selling off. You also got MU, which has also had a massive run here. So the 50 here, that 87 mark, if we break below that, you got some key level. You got quite a few levels down here. You got the 84 mark and essentially the 80 mark or the 200 sitting. So you get a nice gap to fill here, which I think you can probably run 87 down to 80 with a pretty clear rejection, the first rejection off that 87 mark. I think we're going to be headed down to the 81, especially if we start really getting gas tomorrow. I think is a very strong possibility. Again, all the new news, when it's new, fresh news, that's when the market is going to make the biggest move. And then after that, the market will kind of get numb to it unless there's something new that happens. Maybe tomorrow, just the whole Ukraine thing and everything. Maybe Russia is actually invading, and then that would essentially cause the market to plummet from that point. And then if, say, tomorrow night, China decides to join the fight or whatever the case is, that would just be another catalyst to add to the downside. If China is still more hands-off, or if Putin comes out and says, hey, I want to open a conversation, and actually does do that, it could flip this market very quickly. We can start pushing up. That's something you have to keep in mind. This is why this whole move is event-driven off of what is currently going on. Again, we didn't expect them to push as far as they are. Again, it's unforeseen if this is true, if this is facts. A lot of it is misinformation, and so leading people down, getting that panic mindset, and so people are selling. So be mindful of that as well. And also another big one tomorrow is Amazon. With all supply issues and everything, you want to really watch this key level tomorrow, which is essentially that 2960 mark tomorrow. We've broken way down below this. We're going to get a retest tomorrow at some point, or Friday, and we want to be ready for puts at that point. After that rejection, if nothing has been resolved in the news with China, or with Ukraine and Russia, you have to realize that this thing could pop and potentially break this and start running again. But if there's nothing if everything is unresolved and we get a pop back up to this, because this is a pure fear move here, there will be some kind of relief bounce, whether that's tomorrow or Friday. You just be waiting with puts because it'll be the first retest. The first retest is the one you want to capture. You don't want to capture the double test, the triple test. This is the first major sell. You want to capture that relief bounce and then continue riding this down. Again, we don't know how far down this will go. We don't know how long this will last. In my mind, it's only temporary, but things can change quite quickly, quite dramatically in this market. So that's pretty much what I got. Could even look at Moderna. They got earnings in the morning. Possibly look at the 145 mark, 146 mark, and get back that high. But you really want to see how they do for earnings. I think this might actually crater more. So this one could potentially not even be playable tomorrow if we wake up tomorrow and it's down at the 125 mark, 120 mark. It's already been way oversold at that point, so there's not really much more you can do. But also could be a potential play tomorrow. Just see where it's at. If it does push up, see if it holds the 147 mark. Look for possibly the 152 mark tomorrow. If it pops at all, if it can't break that on the hourly, if that's that 10 o'clock hourly candle opens up at underneath the 152, You could see it could possibly even start to sell that. Again, depends on market sentiment. If the market is continuing to sell, essentially buy that pump and ride that pump all the way back down is kind of what I'm looking at tomorrow. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you, and go ahead and drop a like button. And then until next time, I'll see you guys later.